Hey Jacob,
Hey, Pop.
I got the gasket so we can fix our exhaust leak. You want to help me with that?
Sure.
Well, you're obviously here already, so let's see here. Let me get a flashlight here. All right. Now down here, you hold this right here for me. Down here, there's a little metal gasket right here that separates the intake and the exhaust manifold. It doesn't separate them, but it seals them up in between there. And there's a little flapper here. This one's kind of rusted up, but I'll show you what all that does when we get it apart. But back here, there's a leak between that. The gasket's either blown out or something. We're going to take it apart and see. So why don't you go ahead and get in there and let's see if we can hear the sound that it makes when it's leaking. But you can see the engine block down there. Can you see how sooty it is down there from the exhaust hitting it right down here?
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and start the engine and see if we can hear what it makes for sound. It sounds terrible, I think.
Squeeze, but maybe.
All right, so let's go ahead and start taking this thing apart and see if we can fix that. Now there's a big gaping hole in there, so I hope that the manifolds are still in good shape, but if they're not, I have another one that I can put on in place of that. All right, so first thing we're going to do is, here, you hold this.
All right.
I'm going to get some fender covers. Here's a GTX fender cover. That looks good for a Barracuda, don't it? And here is a Roadrunner fender cover. I was told that they don't make these anymore because they didn't get the permission from the Roadrunner people, probably Warner Brothers, to do that. So I doubt you can find one. I just happened to get one when I went to a car show one time. I was very happy with it. All right. Now, let's get our cart over here.
We brought this back from one of our friends' house, I'm pretty sure.
Yep. Good old Glenn got this for me. Yep. All right. Now, this is a cool cart. It can go underneath the car, get you up close while you're working. But this goes up and down right here. You got a little knob you can turn down here, and then you crank this back and forth to raise it above your fenders so you're not scratching your fenders. And it has a handy dandy little tray here you can put tools in, which I haven't put anything into it yet. And there's also a tray here that comes out so you can put your hardware in it. Pretty cool. So let's pull this air cleaner off first. All right, what kind of carburetor is that?
One barrel.
One barrel. And look at that right there. That's a Holly.
It is a Holly.
Must be a race car.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Not do I.
Okay, take the choke off. Take this throttle linkage off right here just by a tug. That gets that out of the way.
Alright.
We got to get this fuel line off of here. And we'll take the carburetor off. I guess I should maybe loosen the clamp out a little more. What do you think?
Probably.
All right. Vacuum line for the vacuum advance. We'll get this fuel line off of here.
There it goes. Bye, fuel line.
Now these fuel filters aren't the best fuel filters out there.
No.
This one's kind of getting dirty now. But I like them because I can see that there's fuel coming to the carburetor. Now this might spray a little, so let's watch your eyeballs.
All right. Ooh.
Okay. It smells nice.
It does.
I always love the smell of gas.
Me too.
I can't remember what size those carburetor bolts are. I think they're 9/16. Yep.
9/16.
Okay, now let me switch spots with you. So I got to get those exhaust bolts down there.
All right. Let's move over here. There's Pop getting some tools. What's up, Pop?
What's up, Jacob?
All the way down there. So there we go, getting the exhaust off.
You want to put those in our tray?
Yes, sir. There we go. Oh.
Just too tight to turn by hand. Just so loose you almost don't need the wrench, but it's just too tight for hand. And a ratcheting wrench works good here, but I don't have one of those accessible right now. Come off. Put that in our tray. See, look at that, it's kind of eating up a little bit there.
Man, look at that. Yeah.
Okay. Use a 1/2 inch deep. And the reason we need to do this, I'm going to move the tray and get more to the front here, is it's really hard to get to a couple of these bolts with any kind of a wrench. You can see this top row you can get with a wrench all the way down, but there's a bottom row down here. Can you see those? There's one, and there's one, and there's one, and especially in here with this intake manifold. Can you get the camera down in there real good? Or here, let me have it and I'll stick it down there. Okay, so all right, so down there there's two. There's one on this side of the carburetor base. There's one on the other side. So anyway, so that's why I like this big long extension to help me get in here. You shouldn't need any more than 1/4 inch drive because these are supposed to be not real tight. But you never know with all the years and the rust and all the other stuff. Oh, come on.
Come on, Beaker.
Okay, there's one down. And the other one up inside here. This one's really hard to see, but it's up in here underneath this little choke tower. Let me,
Trying to get the camera down there.
yeah, can you? I don't know if you can see it down there or not.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, it's right there.
Okay, now let's look down here. Look down there and see if you can see between this choke tower, or whatever they call that, and
yeah, I can see
way deep down in there.
You see it turning?
There we go. This should turn by hand, but you never know with all the rust and age.
Yeah.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! A nut out. How about that?
Okay.
We can see that one perfectly. It's just right there.
Yeah. Well, it's underneath. Go get it.
Here. God. Sorry, viewers. There. Ugh. Right. Pop hit it by accident.
Is it on still?
Yeah, it's still on. Leaking. Oh.
The stud came out instead of the nut coming off. Well, that stud holds back coolant, so that's what we have leaking now. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's running down here on the floor. Now, we got all our bolts out, I think. Nope, nope, there's, that one's out, that one's out. Out. Everything seems to be out. Let me see if I can crack this thing here. There she goes.
Starting to come out. Come on out, exhaust.
Okay, those are all spacers. That's okay.
There it is. Whoa. There's one of the bolts. Broke.
Oh, that one's turning.
Alright, exhaust manifold's coming apart. Almost. See the bolt turning right there?
There we go. So there's the gasket.
There's a gasket.
Alright, now here's
Blown out.
where we may have a problem. You see this right here?
Yep.
This surface has to be basically smooth all the way around. Well, it's all eaten up. And that makes it so I can't fix this piece for now. Now, this is something that I want to show. This is a heat riser valve, it's called. And what it does is the engine is tuned, the carburetor is tuned to run with the engine at operating temperature. And so that carburetor's jetted and got all its little orifices and sizes are set up for running temp. So what this does is there's a spring down here, you can see it's broken, and there's this little metal weight, and it's connected to the shaft, and this little flapper here. And what it does is this one is stuck. So what it does is the exhaust comes through the exhaust ports, comes out, shoots the exhaust up through this area here, and heats up the base of this manifold so that the carburetor gets warmed up faster. When it gets warmed up, it becomes closer to its tuned, where it was tuned to operate. Then when this gets hot, this metal spring starts to change, and it would turn this flapper so that this flapper comes up and basically closes this off all up in here, and then shoots the exhaust straight out our pipe. So right now we are stuck in the cold position. That is not good. That makes our carburetor get too hot. That makes our fuel boil in our carburetor. That does all kinds of silly things that we don't like. Is here we got a broken bolt, and I'll save that to fix for later. So I've got a whole different intake manifold, exhaust and intake already put together. so we don't have to go ahead and fix this now. That takes care of our gasket, and the flapper does work. And we'll go get that and we'll install it instead.